Welcome to the Irish Sunday Newspaper Review. Okay, first paper we're going with, the Irish Times. Not a Sunday paper, but sold on a Sunday. And state refuses to take over hospital as 300 face losing jobs. This is maternity hospital, Mount Carmel of Churchtown, Dublin, which is going into liquidation, and the state are saying, no, we do not want a bit of that. NAMA has provided up to 10 million to the hospital in recent years to help keep it afloat, but unfortunately this is not good enough. Also in this article, in bad buzz for Ulster Bank, 100 jobs are set to be lost in Ulster Bank as as RBS just generally seem to be thinking and seeing Ulster Bank as being something of a liability. RBS plans to put 9 billion worth of assets from Ulster Bank into its newly formed internal bad bank. So Ulster Bank is so bad, they're giving its stuff into a separate internal bad bank, which must make Ulster Bank the terrible bank internal to RBS. HSE in the news story proposes a higher pay rate for experienced consultants. This is the HSE having terrible trouble trying to get top-class consultants for specific positions. I think it's to do with radiography and yada yada. It's not mentioned here, but essentially Tony O'Brien is trying to get permission that he can raise the salary ceiling for top consultants, as the HSE has had great difficulty trying to fill them, as a cat pulls at my suit. Okay, anything else? No, that pretty much covers the front page of the Irish Times. The Sunday Independent. Voters tire of wait for Lucinda's new party. Boosts a Major's party as support for Sinn Féin independent fall. Now, this is strange. This is a Millward Brown poll. I believe the Red Sea poll for Sunday Business Post has quite different results. The Millward Brown is the Sunday Independent. The Millward Brown poll puts Fine Gael at 30%. And the Independents at 15%, whereas the one in Sunday Business Post we're going to get in the Red Sea poll puts Fine Gael at 27%, and the Independents at a remarkable 25%. So quite a difference there. Anyway, yep. So it's a report coming out, polls coming out. Apparently, voters are getting fed up of waiting for Lucinda Creighton to come and rescue them from corruption and and help reform Ireland. Of course, that might have something to do with the fact that the press media, have been ridiculously overhyping her in the last few months. But we'll see. Sean Gallagher, Ireland's most gracious loser, Sean Gallagher, is taking RTE to the High Court because he reckons that RTE deliberately set to make him look like an Egypt on the front line and ruin his presidency. Yeah, it's Ireland's very own 911 conspiracy. And Brendan O'Connor, in his little window here where he tries to communicate to the world through a kind of omniscient snarkiness, and things on first half, will Davis be Fine Gael's Galway tent? And it's blah blah blah. It's a great week for Enda Kenny and the government, for this government indeed. Enda has even emboldened to tell Bloomberg that he wants 5 more years to continue sorting things out here. Then he goes on to slag off Fianna Fáil. But hang on, you say. Fianna Fáil hung out with the builders, and we all know construction was an unsustainable bubble built on people speculating in order to make huge unsustainable returns, says Brendan O'Connor. If you're familiar with his attitude, the articles he wrote before the crash about builders and developers, you'd see how funny it is to see him write that. There's a thing that happens to people when things are going well. A kind of madness to take hold, whereby they think they're responsible for their own good fortune. Well, that's true. And with that madness comes a notion that is different this time. For all our sakes, let's hope it is. Yeah. Okay, the Sunday Business Post. Coalition sees bailout exit gains evaporate in new poll. Again, this is a report I was telling you, interesting differences between the Red Sea. I believe this is a Red Sea poll now. Yep, this is the Red Sea poll, which I think is a really interesting result, and that is placing the Independents up 3% at 25%, nearly a quarter of the electorate going for independence. A huge amount of disillusion out there, I think, with the main political parties. Fianna Fáil at 23, Labour at 9, down 3. That's pretty disastrous. Sinn Féin up 1. Independent are saying Sinn Féin are down. And that's interesting. Welfare inspectors checking if widows are alone. These are welfare inspectors going around the country, checking up on widowers and widows. 1,000 visits paid in the last year to 115,000 widows and widowers, which isn't kind of... So that means that by roughly, 2021... Yeah, it'll be 21, 28 by the time they'll have checked out all the widows and widowers to make sure they're not doing the naughty and they are actually genuine widows and widowers, because it's very important that we know that. Down here we have no applications having received a top hospital doctor post. This is again the same problem with the HSE, maybe slightly more developed in that it lists that, it said we've received no applications for 4 campaigns across the paediatric intensive medical care, geriatric medical and radiology. Yeah, so HSE having problem filling out positions for top consultants. Tony O'Brien, the Director General of the HSE, worried about a brain drain of our best medical talent. Sunday World, you're toast. Glasses raised in booze session as lynch mob win race. Can't expect around the curtains. To death with Mad Mickey Devoy. Yep, there's a Mad Mickey and he's dead, and he was whacked by this chap called Greg Lynch, who didn't like him very much, obviously, and they had a big toast to celebrate the fact that Mad Mickey Devoy is dead. Also, there's an exclusive interview with Garth Brooks, and my God, you see pictures of Val Kilmer these days, and he looks a bit like that. Okay, Sunday Express. Inside Food and Fitness Plans Reading News. Old royals are boring! Dismay as Princess Michael of Kent's astonishing jibe at senior family members. That's 68-year-old Princess Michael of Kent, who's obviously never heard of Prince Philip. I think, was it Queen Princess Margaret who's also the interesting one? Anyway, never mind that. I think she's dead, actually. I don't know, who cares about the royals? The Mirror. Dr. Botox, rugby rat broke my heart. Dublin Housewives star, never heard of it, Danielle, duped into fling with married player. Yes, she was confused into having a sexual affair with a married, wealthy international sports star, and now she decides to sell her story to the newspaper and talk about her steamy affair, steamy sexual goings on there with between Danielle Meagher and with rugby love rat Lota Takiri. There you go, steam. The Observer, extremist religion at root of 21st century wars, says Tony Blair. Yep, Tony Blair, who of course is not responsible for any wars whatsoever, but he certainly likes to follow around the people who are, is giving out about extremist religions being the big battleground for the next century. Oh, it's not going to be ideology, it's going to be religions, because of course religions are coming back strong these days. Syrian enemies sit down but don't talk. These are the Syrian peace talks, which you'd wonder why they're not talking. I mean, that seems very bad. Of course, there were preconditions put in place by the Americans that, for example, no government coming out of the peace talks could feature any of the Assad regimes, which you'd think would kind of celebrate the whole thing as an endeavour. But that's how the Americans like to get negotiations done, by loading negotiations in favour of one side over the other so they'll inevitably fail. That's American style for you. Daily Star, I slash wrists over Jin's jibe. This is Linda Nolan, who is in the Celebrity Big Brother house. Hey! Apparently Jin Davison, who's also in the Celebrity Big Brother house, said mean things to her, and now she's saying she cut her wrists. But it's fine, like she's still on reality TV, and we're all watching her I think the big hope for is it Channel 5 that having this is, it was obviously a few years ago, it was very exciting when the first person had sex in the Big Brother house, and it looks like this could be the first celebrity to commit suicide live on television, and people are dying to see this. Really exciting stuff. First live celebrity suicide on TV. Fingers crossed there. And The Sun, come on, Yuri Boys in Green. Oh, spoon-bending getter, I'll help All Ireland. Amazingly, incredible spoon-bending chancer in Git. Yuri Geller has now turned his sights on Ireland to try and milk money out of the FAI. And sure, why not? In a wonderful picture here he paints, spoon-bending psychic Yuri Geller has offered his services to the Irish football team and assistant boss Roy Keane. Oh my God, please. The Mentalist, is that it right? The Mentalist? At 67, vowed to control the ball with his mind from a helicopter hovering over Aviva Stadium on March 5th. He said, Roy would understand what I'm trying to do. Roy Keane probably looking into getting some surface air missiles. But I would love to see him meet Roy Keane. Oh my God. Irish Sunday People. I watch Pal give drug, that's drug singular, to Justin. Someone needs to save him or he'll die like Jacko. So I think that's a reference to Michael Jackson, who was apparently somewhat kind of murdered by his doctor, and that's where Justin Bieber's going, because his aide saw a pal of her give him a drug. Anyone who does a drug is going to turn into Michael Jackson. That's the message we take from the Irish Sunday People. Quids in, Osborne gets cheap mortgage from bank for the super rich. This is George Osborne has landed himself a low-rate mortgage at a bank that deals with the super wealthy. So there you go. There's a Chancellor of the Exchequer in Britain with contacts in the financial world, which is quite surprising. And lastly, we have the Sunday Times. The Sunday Times, hearings for teachers and not up to the job. So this is Rory Quinn is going to be bringing in new legislation to allow parents and teaching boards to, have hearings when parents are complaining about bad teachers, and maybe even ultimately ban them from teaching in Ireland forever. The TUI aren't mad keen on it. The INTO are quite keen on it, and then they're saying it will bring transparency and confidence. I suppose the thing is, you want accountability with this type of thing. What you don't want is the kind of situation you have in America where people end up teaching the test or end up aiming towards this kind of objectivized targeting, which ends up becoming a pointless, futile endeavour with no real quality, and people just kind of throwing shapes of an education rather than actually imparting genuine knowledge, skills and understanding and a perspective on life. Higgins offers office block queries over A's rent-free Aura stay. Yep, this is just an incredible non-story for the front page. Michael D. Higgins' aide, who's on 49,000 a week, is apparently staying in Aura Suit Durong. As far as I understand, it's quite a big house, so who cares? Gardaí lose blood-stained gate from Tuscan Duplantier case. So in an unprecedented move, the Gardaí seem to have lost some evidence in a case where there are allegations of a frame-up. These are coming from Ian Bailey, former journalist, who alleges Gardaí tried to frame him for the murder of French filmmaker who was bludgeoned to death with a concrete block outside her holiday home. But apparently all the evidence had really mysteriously disappeared. This has never happened before. A similar file on Jules Thomas, Bailey's partner, has also disappeared. So have copies of 24 witness statements. Just 24. Though typed duplicates were retained by the murder investigation team. Well, that is lucky. It's not known when some items, including the gate, the actual gate, I'm imagining this gate is quite big. We're just seeing it with the headlines at the moment. Anyway, that's the last paper. And we'll leave it at that. Come back in about 6 hours. I've got 11 papers to read. And I will be doing a proper review and analysis of the main stories then. Good morning.